Hello. When I get a call to do a video, I'm actually getting a very audible call, like a tone in my ear right now. I'm usually given a seed idea, maybe just to give me enough impetus to get started. So today, the suggestion that was made to me was setting down the hierarchy. I'm going to take a minute and see what that means. So I'm being encouraged with every thought that comes up for me, and if it comes up for me, it might be coming up for you too. I'm being encouraged with every thought that comes up to set down the hierarchy. We have this habitual set of tools and this habitual pattern of judging everything. So when we recognize our roles as creators and we begin to understand flowing with the harmony of all that is, we begin to understand paying attention to our thoughts. We still keep in place this structure of holding things for oneself that could be threatened, oneself that could be in conflict with others, oneself that could be vulnerable. And so the toolkit of this one self that is vulnerable, considered to be vulnerable, looked at as vulnerable, is evaluation, judgment, pre-planning, going back in time mentally, going forward in time mentally, trying to control things. And gradually, all this starts to fall away. All of it starts to fall away. All of it starts to fall away. And as more and more layers fall away, you see more to be undone, more habitual patterns, more habitual judgments. It's like circles upon circles upon circles upon circles, and they keep getting bigger and wider. But so sometimes we can experience these as ups and downs. We think, oh, I've just had this wonderful epiphany. I've just had this wonderful day, this wonderful sense of flow. And then somehow we're back in the dumps again, or back in a sense of intensity. Like when we're with other people, we feel density, we feel conflict. Even if there's nothing going on the surface, we feel this underneath. And what we're actually feeling, we would feel better if we just made it about the other guy. And sometimes we do. We say, if I go out in public, I get everybody's feelings, I get everybody's emotions and thoughts, and it's too much. Well, that's true. But as individuals, we couldn't resonate in dissonance with those other people if we didn't have a kind of separated, cut off sense of one person individuality that is vulnerable. So what those experiences in public with others, those really intense, dense experiences, are what they're trying to tell us, what they're trying to invite us to, is not the idea that all these people have problems and they're unawakened and too bad for us that we have to suffer. They're trying to say there's another layer you can let go of here, because you're not actually vulnerable, you're not actually lacking, you're not actually subject to what they're thinking unless you're resonating in dissonance with it at some level. And it goes deep, it goes really deep. So you keep letting it go and letting it go and letting it go because you want to have some peace in the grocery store. If you're watching this, I'm assuming that you're either starting to have increased sensitivity come online, or you've had a lot of it come to you at once, or you're feeling attuned to this experience of empathy, maybe hearing thoughts in the forms of words, or maybe feeling thoughts, the sense of a sense of contraction or expansion when you're around other people. But the thing to remember is that it's always you. It's always not your fault, because there is no fault. It's you in the sense that there's one of us. There's only one of us. And despite any surface stories we have concocted collectively, that one of us is always held in safety, always held in love, always supported. It's always been that being that each of us is. We're differentiated into different beings. But underneath the surface of the story we have going on here on our planet, we have always interacted in harmony with all other beings. So if you go to that level in the grocery store and you want to remember and remind yourself, these are other beings of light too. And we're finding our way through the stories we have concocted and created, the structures we've come to rely on together. We're finding our way together. And I know within each one of these beings is vibrant, vibrating joy and life. And I know each one of these beings has a special function that they're really good at and I could learn from. And I know to recognize and respect each one of these beings I'm with here, the experience gets a lot better. The more layers we're willing to release, the easier it gets. We're still connected. But we don't need any protection from that connection. Because staying connected in that way, we're always connected to all other minds. But when we're consciously connected like that, what we can share is our sense of invulnerability without saying a word, just by being in the same building as somebody. Or you could share that with somebody across the world who's resonating with you in some way, and you'll never know about it. What you can share is your sense of harmony, of all things being exactly as they should be and working out perfectly in time and through time. What you can share is that sense of power, the power that they truly are, the power that you truly are. So if you're in a place that is confusing and it feels uneven and thrilling too, if you're experiencing some new abilities, you can just remember that it evens out. And the way it evens out is through release of what we are not. And as we release in our own personal experience what we are not, we're also releasing our conception of what the other guy is. So we get closer and closer and closer and closer and closer till that oneness is something we rarely forget about. I'm not going to say that's the case with me yet. I remember it frequently. So that's a good thing. I can always remember it when I stop and check it. So that's a good thing. The experience gets smoother and smoother. And the more we're willing to allow that, the more we're going to be able to be helpful, truly helpful to the people around us. And more importantly, I think it's a really important thing to recognize, to accept their help, no matter how they look to us, because everybody has a piece of the puzzle. We're doing this healing journey together, and it just goes deeper, deeper, and deeper. There is absolutely nobody. There's no one who doesn't have a piece of the puzzle. And when you realize that, it's like a gift exchange, maybe only in your head at first. That's where it is with me mainly. I'm just realizing and recognizing all these people are so powerful and so gifted. And it's amazing what we're able to exchange. That might not be completely apparent and obvious to you in your daily life, but it will be. First, it comes to you just as a perception, just as something you know and you're thrilled about, and it just makes you smile wherever you are. Then you start to see evidence of it. So if you're in a place where the experience is new to you or intense, keep the focus on what you're releasing every day and every situation. Every situation is perfectly designed for you to release what you don't need. And with everybody you're with, you always get the perfect chance to exchange gifts, to recognize each other, to relax into the power you both are, to relax into the awareness you both are. If you keep thinking collectively, I think your journey will be smoother. So I hope this helps. Thanks.